Tom Moore, longtime Sixer guy, columnist, Bucks County Courier now. He joins us here on the Boardwalk Honda hotline as the Sixers. I mean, Tom, you've been around this team for a long time. This has got to be the biggest game in a long, long time. But, man, the repercussions of what could happen tonight are probably – the emotions are probably all over the place inside that building.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, there could be a lot of changes. You know, they lose. You know, you worry. You wonder about the coach. You wonder about the free agents. You know, Harris and Butler, and to a less extent, J.J. Redick, and possible trades. And, you know, there's a lot of things that could happen. And, yes, it is, you know, it's just so weird, Mike, that you know, 9 days ago, the Sixers are up 2-1 coming off a blowout win, and you're thinking, wow, this team, I could see this team going to the finals. Mm-hmm. And now here we are, you know, they've lost the last two games and just got blown out of Ontario 2 nights ago, and you just don't know what you don't know what to expect based on, you know, the way they played, and it looked like Jimmy Butler was really the only guy who showed up, and I don't understand that in the Game 5.
Yeah, I don't know, Tom. It's 3:30 on the day of the game. If you have any sense of Joel's condition at this point.
No, there's no shoot-around. There's no nothing. Brett Brown will talk to us at 6:15 tonight. So we really won't know anything, you know, unless we see him out there beforehand or whatever. But, you know, I would be pretty confident he's playing. How much, how well, those are the pertinent questions.
What are some, I mean, first off, do you take anything from the margin of victory by Toronto? Does that, I mean, do you look at that and say, well, you can learn a lot because of them, or is it you lose by 30, lose by 3, same difference?
Well, I mean, if a team comes out and just runs you out of the gym and plays like, you know, it has one of those nights, it's one thing. And, you know, and the Raptors played well, but I really was disappointed in the Sixers. I just thought after the first quarter they were really, I guess the word I would use is lifeless. And that would concern me, because in a situation like that, you know, you can lose, you know, another team plays well, you know, that they're better that day, but you don't lose by 36 with the last 9 minutes of garbage time. And, you know, Redick does nothing. Simmons still won't shoot. Embiid, you know, tells Drake he's going to be back for Game 7 after just a dreadful performance in Game 5. Yeah, I guess that's the thing that would concern me, not the margin, but how it happened. To me, is more worrisome.
What's up, Tommy? It's Moshe.
Hey, Moshe, how's it going?
Good. You notice how Gil said you've been covering the team for a long, long time? He put the emphasis on long, long time. He was completely dating you there, and it just went right over your head. Did you know that?
Yeah, I hear it. Believe me. One of the writers offered me a chair at practice last week because he said I was an older guy, and I said, well, I appreciate the chair, but I'm not sure the sentiment. You know, I guess it's a sign of respect or a sign that they're worried I'm going to keel over and have a heart attack.
There you go. Hey, take anything you can get. But
yeah, right.
Let me ask you this: when we were talking about Brett Brown in the context of job security, I almost feel like, because I've heard it now from local Sixers writers, national Sixers writers, or national beat writers to kind of look out for what happens if they lose, that losing this series, if this cost Brett Brown his job, it's not necessarily because of a 30-point loss or 2 straight losses in important games, but it's more that they saw something that confirmed suspicions that they may have already had, that they have been on the fence or they don't like something about it, and this is just maybe the straw that breaks the camel's back, or something that confirmed what they didn't like, more so than, you know what, we were literally judging him on every single win and loss, and he lost 2 in a row, they bounced out, we'll fire him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a product of the expectations of you know, kind of, all right, Elton Brand did his job. He brought an all-star and a borderline all-star here. Now it's up to the coach to win. I mean, I guess you could say or wonder maybe is he too close to, having coached Ben Simmons' dad?
Mm-hmm.
Is he not hard enough on Simmons? Does he not push? Is he defend him too much? I don't know. I don't know that those are the case, but maybe those are things that management could be wondering perhaps if an outside voice who doesn't have the backstory, who, didn't coach the dad in Australia, whatever it was 20-some years ago, that maybe it could be different. I really don't know. I mean,
is there any merit to the idea that listen, I know it's a players' league, Tom, but the whole running the tightest ship, is that a fair criticism that maybe he doesn't do that compared to other coaches?
Well, I mean, I can tell you, like with Joel Embiid, he it seems to me he really doesn't answer to many people, and he seems to do kind of whatever he wants to do,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of make it work. And I mean, that was the case going back 2 years when he was out there shooting around and not full practicing, but shooting around with no socks and shoes on, having a foot surgically missed 2 years, and not the general manager didn't say anything.
Right.
The trainers didn't say anything. Nobody. And I'm not saying that's Brett Brown's fault, but I think maybe they wonder that, just outside voices coming from a different point of view, maybe relationships are kind of established or the way things are going, they figure will continue, and maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge on the first 3 years. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
correct.
First 4 years, really, because he had no players. But the last 2 years, yes, you can judge on.
But do you think, Tom, that they are factoring in those first couple of years, or is he only being looked at on these last two?
I mean, I think it certainly should be the last two, because the first 4 years were all about developing, trying to find guys, Robert Covington being an example, T.J. McConnell maybe to a lesser degree, undrafted guys, work with them, player development. That's Brett Brown's. That's what he's regarded as his strength. And that's what it should. That's how it should be. I don't have a problem if they lose to the, Raptors and play well and, just are beaten by a better team. Kawhi Leonard obviously being I know what Brett Brown said, but clearly Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the series. I don't think there's very few people would question that. But, their fringe players are starting to play better. Gasol's, played better the last couple games. Lowry's played better the last couple games. Danny Green's played better the last couple games. The Sixers need Tobias Harris, Redick, those guys to play more. Sixers are flawed. I mean, they don't have a deep bench. They don't have a backup center. I mean, still he's playing six guys, and those six guys have to deliver, or they don't have a lot of options.
Tom Moore's with us. The Sixers tonight, obviously, it's an elimination game. We talk a lot about in the NBA, it's hard to win when you're very young. A lot of these teams that win, they might have younger players, but typically it's a more mature team that finally, Giannis is in his sixth season. He's just now winning his first series. The Warrior team, they don't have young guys helping them. Their guys are all established veterans. Same with Houston. For the most part, it's hard to win with younger guys. And the Sixers' two best players, Tom, they're still their youngest players. Like Jimmy Butler is very good, but he's never been out of the second round. Tobias has only been in the playoffs one time. So it still seems that they maybe just aren't ready to get past this point, and that they need to continue to have these lumps. Is that fair, or should the expectations be, no, they're ready?
Well, I mean, I understand that, Mike, but here's what I would say. Ben Simmons, last year against the Celtics, they figured out how to guard him, yes, but he averaged 4 free throws a game. This year, he has 4 free throws in 5 games. To me, that tells me that he is not, that tells me he's not attacking the rim because he doesn't want to get fouled and doesn't want to go to the line. At 6'10", as quick as he is, he has mismatches all the time. He has to stop getting 4 feet from the basket and kicking it out or looking for somebody else. His average shot in this series is less than 3 feet of distance. Less than 3 feet. I don't need him shooting 15-footers, but I'd like him shooting 5-footers and 6-footers. I think that's a reasonable thing. I guess that's what I would say.
Sure.
You think last year with Embiid, too, he was with the eye. He didn't play in the first 2 games. He was not in great shape. Although if you look at his body in the playoffs last year versus now, he was physically, he looked much better, much leaner, much less extra weight than he has now. Those are all things, that factor into what's going on, in my opinion.
I almost think, Tom, that there's a balance here. I agree with everything you just said. You need more from Ben from a mentality standpoint and how he's going to go about, tailoring his offensive game given the defense they're playing against him. And the same thing with Joel. But I kind of balance that with Mike's point, and something we were talking about is that a lot of times kids who are talented, who are still playing in their first or second ever playoff series, they just don't make that adjustment because it's just that natural NBA. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the guys, Tom. I'm just saying you go look at any of these guys who have won championships, and LeBron, KD, Steph, they all struggled in the first 2-3 years of their career, 4, when they were in the playoffs, to get out of that first and second round. I mean, we talked about Oklahoma City having Harden and Durant and Russell, and they couldn't make it. I think they got to the finals in year 3 together. And this is still just year 2 of this team. And really just 12 games of regular season with those 4 intact.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can certainly say that, but I guess I would look at it more. Look what happened in Game 3. Look at the position that they were in. Everybody had them going to the conference finals, if not the NBA finals.
Yeah.
Embiid was dominating. So you've seen flashes of it. Now maybe maturity, maybe they don't play the same way, they don't attack it the same way. Maybe they got fat and happy. I don't know. And maybe that is part of maturity and growth and so on. Moshe, that could be too.
All right, we'll see you tonight, 6:15. We should learn a little bit more about Joel, if he's feeling any better. Big game for Joel, big game for Ben, big game for the franchise. Could be, who knows, maybe the last game for Brett Brown in Philadelphia. Tonight is a big night for the future of the Sixers, which we will all see it happen right here, 8 o'clock, 97.3 ESPN. Tom Moore, kind enough to join us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, Tom, we'll talk soon, pal.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.